Of Summer of '66, featuring hat-trick hero Geoff Hurst.
Was it a goal? 25 years on, nobody can prove it. But from the heart of the Soviet Union, the man whose opinion counted at 5 o'clock on July the 30th, 1966, gives us his view now. What is certain is that his response provided this Englishman with the platform to achieve an unparalleled place in the history of the game. The only player ever to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final is still marketing that achievement.
Commercially, I think, strangely enough, as it's gone on, I've become more and more successful commercially. People want me to do things, which, funnily enough, didn't really happen directly after the World Cup. It surprises me, and I spoke to my wife about it. I sort of do better today, 20 years later. Whether it's the memory that's got stronger and we haven't really achieved anything at that level over this period of time, I don't really know. It's hard to put your finger on. But it certainly changed all our lives, the whole family, because it affects the children. My children know, as you know, that's Geoff Hurst's daughter, etc. They've got to live with that. But I'm very lucky. I've got a wife that, as I said earlier, is down to earth and keeps her feet on the ground and certainly keeps my feet on the ground. And it's not been very hard to live with. I think I'm just an ordinary guy that's just good at something a long time ago.
A long time ago, Ron Greenwood converted Hurst from an unexceptional wing half into an exceptional goal scorer.
When you're a midfield player, it takes a long time to progress to learning the trade as a forward player. It seemed to work out fairly well, but when I say instant success, I don't suppose I was a success overnight. It took me a long time to learn to score goals and be in position to score goals. But I was very, very fortunate having someone like Ron that was a great teacher. And everything, I suppose, my whole life has transferred because of success, and I owe a lot to him.
People sometimes say that goal scoring is a natural thing that can't be taught, but you used the word learn there, so presumably...
Well, I've proved that to the contrary. I did learn to score goals and how and where and to strike balls from different angles. I was a natural goal scorer. I was a natural front player. I had a fair basic amount of talent, but when you compare me with people like Jimmy Greaves, I mean, he has more talent in his little finger than I've got in the rest of my body. I'm an absolutely unbelievable goal scorer. I had to learn that, but I'm a good learner.
Peter, they get ball there to Hurst. Hurst, and that's a goal.
I joined the squad, in fact, in December of '65, I think, and our policy was to introduce a player, but not actually play him in the first game. Generally, it appeared to me. I played my first game against West Germany, funnily enough, in '66, in the February. Nobby Stiles scored that day in a 1-0 defeat of West Germany with the number 9 on his back, so it's quite an unusual game, I remember. I was only really being tested to a degree. And, of course, Martin Peters came in not until the May. I mean, when you consider it's only 2 months before the World Cup final and contributed so much. So we were, two latecomers.
Did that all come as a big surprise to you, Geoff?
Yes, totally. I think I always felt that I could always be a successful player at West Ham. When I was in the reserves and the youth team, I felt, well, I can do better than they're doing, and I think I can play for West Ham. I'll be a success. When you're actually told you'll play for England, you never believe that it'll happen. I think people talk about it today, I think I should be playing or whatever. You never ever dreamed you'd be picked for your country, and I'll never forget Ron coming up and telling me.
Hurst's second cap came against Scotland. In the absence of Jimmy Greaves, he scored his first England goal in a 4-3 win. Martin Peters wasn't capped yet, and contrary to popular belief, Bobby Moore's presence was of no great advantage to Hurst.
Bobby and I, although we played at West Ham, were never sort of that close socially. Bobby was slightly older than me and achieved his fame probably a little bit prior to me anyway. I was still an unknown player. In fact, I used to use his name when I used to try to get into restaurants, in the early days when he was successful and I wasn't. I'm a friend of Bobby Moore's. The story's been told quite a lot. So at that stage it was difficult. I think that the difficulty of settling into an England side I found quite hard at first. When you go there, you don't know anybody, apart from Bobby, as I say, I wasn't close to. Martin came along a little later on. So I suppose later on when I just more or less established myself, when Martin came anyway. So I don't think it was a great help. And I think the social side of being accepted into a group of players is as important probably as the playing side of it when you join an international squad.
In Denmark, on England's pre-World Cup tour, HURST was disappointing. In the previous match in Norway, Jimmy Greaves had scored 4 goals. So when the World Cup started, HURST was out.
I didn't deserve to be playing, didn't deserve to start the World Cup competition because I'd had a poor game, and you know, competition being what it is, I mean, Roger Hunt and Jimmy Greaves weren't bad players, so I didn't really deserve to be playing in those 2 front spots. I was hoping they would win it. I didn't really consider myself that I would be playing if they continued to win, because like any cup competition, while a side continues to win, it'll probably be the same, apart from injury or illness. So I was ready to take the opportunity immediately after Jimmy was injured.
And there's a goal! Outscored by number 10, HURST from Peters.
If you say that we might have played that ball and hit that header 2 million times in 5 years in practice, it's like any sport. You practice and practice individually and collectively doing certain things. And Martin's great understanding and with mine, you knew that the ball could only go one spot and I'd be in that spot. But it's something we'd practiced a million times before. At that stage, it would have been very difficult for Alf to change the team. I knew in my heart of hearts that I would probably play, in fairness, because I think I'd done very well. And I think the balance then that Roger and I had showed over those couple of games was probably slightly better than the balance that that Jimmy and Roger had shown together as 2 players in the early rounds. So I felt I would have been very, very desperately disappointed, probably as Jimmy was, more naturally as Jimmy was, had I been left out at that stage. Because I felt, as much as I'm realistic in knowing I shouldn't have played early on, I'm just as realistic to think that I should have played quite categorically in the final.
I was one of the few people who believed we would win it, for 2 basic reasons. One, it was in this country, and 2, we did have a good side. And I believed it, and I spread the gospel, if you like. And what I never ever thought was that we would win it without me being in the side, that I wouldn't actually be on that field in the final. And it was a tremendous blow to me.
I do fully appreciate the position that Jimmy was in, because here was a man that was probably, is the greatest goal scorer in our football history, and the man is a genius in scoring goals. He was a regular goal scorer for England, and the pressure's on him. People think he should play, and there's a certain, it's hard to put an embarrassment if somebody should be doing something and he's not doing it, in terms of him playing. And perhaps not embarrassment, maybe not the right word, but perhaps Jimmy felt that everybody thought he should be playing and didn't. And but I fully understand the position, how desperately he must have felt not to be picked for the team.
The night before, we went to see those magnificent men in their flying machines, and I left my favourite cardigan aside. I forgot about it, you know. So I was a bit worried about that, you know, omens and whatever. And the Saturday morning, I got up and went to mass early at 7 o'clock, and came back and got a bit more stick off Barley.
Trying to just fill the timing in the morning, really. And little Ray and I said, come on, we'll go and buy a new shirt because we've got this due tonight. And we're going to see the wives for the first time for a while, you say. I was always one for lying in bed in the mornings, not really getting up for breakfast. And Jeff was a good sleeper as well. So I think everyone used to talk about us always lying in and things like that when we went abroad as well. You know, we were always last ones down.
I was quite relaxed on the coach going. You know, I was quite happy that we didn't have a great big centre forward to handle again like Torres, because little Ubi Zila isn't that big. Hell of a good header, the Paul, but I could handle the quicker ones better than I could handle people that were bigger than me that took you away positions.
You know, Len Shipman and all those people coming and wishing you all the best because it was obviously a big occasion. But I remember Dennis Fellows coming along and saying to Ray